Hello, Camden Coblentz here. So superhero movies have really become a common type of movies nowadays with many really enjoyable films. Last year, there was one that really exploded in popularity and showed that female-led superhero movies can also work really well. Of course I'm talking about Wonder Woman. She made quite an impression in the divisive Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which I actually really liked, especially the Ultimate Edition. But Wonder Woman's standalone film really gained a lot of praise, and it's very easy to see why. So the movie focuses on her origin story, which begins on Themyscira, an island inhabited by female warriors known as the Amazons. We learn that she, Diana Prince, was sculpted from clay by her mother and brought to life by Zeus. Obviously, a lot of Greek mythology is sprinkled throughout the film. She is told of the gods when Zeus ruled, but another god, Ares, did not favor mankind and sought to have all of them destroyed. A fatal battle broke out among the gods. Before his final breath, Zeus cast Ares down to earth and created a weapon known as the God Killer. We also learned that Themyscira was shielded with protection that hid it from the rest of planet Earth. Diana is told that the God Killer is a mighty sword in a special location on the island. The Amazons live in peace from the dangers outside of Themyscira, until one day when a mysterious plane crashes through the island's barrier and lands in the ocean. The pilot, Steve Trevor, gets stuck inside and nearly drowns, but is rescued by Diana. But Steve is followed by German soldiers, and the Amazons fight to defend themselves. They manage to kill all the soldiers, but some women die as well. Steve is initially blamed for the arrival of the Germans and interrogated by being bound by the lasso of truth. Forced to tell the truth, he reveals that he is a spy, and the world is at war. He tells them that he has discovered a sinister plan led by General Erich Ludendorff and his chemist, Dr. Isabelle Moreau, also known as Dr. Poison. She had been developing a deadly gas that Steve believes could put everyone in danger. He reveals that he stole her notebook, but was pursued by Germans, which was how he ended up on the island. Diana believes that Ares is behind the war by corrupting people, but the rest of the Amazons are reluctant to get involved. When Diana asks Steve why he's taking part in the war, he tells her that his father told him that if he sees something wrong with the world, he can either do something about it or do nothing, and Steve says that he already tried nothing. This is certainly a memorable quote, and one that speaks to me with how I or other believers can decide whether we choose to speak the truth of the gospel to others or not. Diana believes that she needs to defeat Ares to end the war and chooses to secretly leave Themyscira. Equipped with the sword, the lasso, a shield, and special gauntlets, she agrees to help Steve get off the island so he can head back to London if he helps her find Ares. They are just about to leave when Diana's mother and other women arrive. Diana tells them that she needs to leave to find Ares, and that she is willing to fight for those who can't fight for themselves. Her mother realizes that she can't stop her from leaving, and warns her that if she leaves, she may never return. Diana replies by saying, "Who will I be if I stayed?" Then her mother tells her to be careful in the world of mankind, as they don't deserve her, and gives her a special tiara. So Diana and Steve set sail for London. After they leave, Diana's mother says that she wouldn't tell Diana who she really is, as she believed that Ares would find her sooner. During their travel, Diana and Steve discuss several things about mankind, including how men and women often fall in love together, but often end up in divorce most of the time, which is a reminder of how marriage is too often seen as a pleasure or just a relationship rather than a commitment. When they arrive, we get some fun fish-out-of-water comedy and reminders of how women's roles in society were reduced back then. It is revealed that Dr. Poison has also developed another type of gas that increases Ludendorff's strength. Diana and Steve head to a meeting led by Sir Patrick Morgan discussing how to possibly negotiate with Germany. Diana is forbidden in the room until she is able to read Sumerian writings in Dr. Poison's notebook, as she has learned how to speak hundreds of languages. They learn just how deadly the gas could be, with enough power to wipe out both sides in the war. Steve tells them that they need to take an army to take action to destroy the gas, but the men are focused on negotiating instead. Steve and Diana are ordered not to engage, but after they leave, Steve secretly plans to put together a small team to hopefully complete the mission. Diana believes that Ludendorff is Ares and that killing him will end the war. When they head to the front, which is also known as No Man's Land, Diana gets a glimpse at what the horrors of war have done to people, including the innocent. Diana is determined to head to the battlefield, but Steve tries to stop her, saying that they can't save everyone in the war and that isn't what they came to do. But Diana decides that it's what she came to do and steps onto no man's land, equipped with her gear. This is very likely the most famous scene in the movie, and yeah, I definitely see it as one of the big highlights. We see how Diana makes her way through danger, unafraid and determined, giving Steve and the rest of their group the courage to follow, and they gain victory, leading to the townspeople cheering and Diana becoming their hero. Steve later finds out that Ludendorff will be at a gala the next day. When the time comes, they find a way to outsmart the guards and enter, with Diana planning to kill Ludendorff with the sword she believes is the God Killer. She is about to make her move, but Steve stops her, saying that they need to find the gas first, or their mission could fail. Diana says that she needs to stop Ares, but Steve believes that it isn't the case. Unfortunately, the Germans fire gas bombs into a nearby town. Diana runs to help, but when she arrives, she finds that there are no survivors. Angry with Steve, she blames him for their deaths, saying that she could have killed Ares and prevented any more destruction. She tells him that Ares has corrupted not just the Germans, but all of humanity. It's then discovered that Ludendorff's next plan is to send more gas bombs by plane. Diana heads to the air base and fights her way to Ludendorff. The general inhales the strength gas, pulling a difficult fight for Diana. But she eventually overtakes Ludendorff and impales him with the sword. But after his death, Diana realizes that the war hasn't ended, and the Germans are still loading the plane. Steve arrives, and Diana doesn't understand why they are still carrying out the plan, even though she killed who she believed to be Ares. Steve tells her the war might not be caused by Ares, but because there are just bad people in the world. He goes to continue to stop the plan, but Diana notices a man in Ludendorff's office, who turns out to be Sir Patrick. Diana then knows that it is actually him who is Ares. He claims that he truly knows who she is and who mankind are. Diana goes to strike Ares with the sword, but he destroys it. Then he tells her that she is the weapon created by Zeus and the real God Killer. Diana initially doesn't believe him and wraps the lasso of truth around him. He claims that he is not the god of war and that mankind have been slowly destroying the world. He tells her that he didn't have the power to destroy them himself, so he influenced Ludendorff, Dr. Poison, and others to get them going, but the war came to be by their own corruption and choices. He explains that together, they could destroy all of humanity and remove all the destruction for good. She refuses, so Ares begins to fight. Meanwhile, Steve and his men get past the Germans, but they can't just destroy the plane containing the gas, as that would be too dangerous. Steve gives a farewell to Diana and hijacks the plane. Once he flies it high enough, he shoots the gas bombs, sacrificing himself and leaving Diana crushed. But Ares continues to try to get Diana on his side. I know there are some people that don't really like the villain in much of the third act, but I don't have much of a problem with them, as the actor does the part well, and the third act is where the real weight of the story comes together. I guess Ares could have had a bit more of a transformation, but what they did still works well enough. Moving along, Ares brings Dr. Poison before Diana, using her as an example of the evil humanity is capable of, and tries to get Diana to kill her. As we watch Diana observe these things, we see just how terrified Dr. Poison is. But Diana chooses not to end her, despite how evil she is. Ares is upset, telling Diana that they don't deserve her. She responds by saying, "It's not about deserve, it's about what you believe. And I believe in love." Ares fires an energy blast to destroy her, but she is able to absorb it through her gauntlets, and aims it back at Ares, destroying him for good. With that, the war is able to soon come to an end. Diana then continues her life, fighting for the good in the world. That was Wonder Woman, and not only was it an entertaining movie, but it also had a significant message. It has some big connections with reality. We were all created by God in His own image for His glory, but when humanity chose sin over God's authority, everything changed for us. So much evil came into the world, with Satan seeking to influence and destroy as many as possible after rebelling against God. But so much evil has also occurred by the choices of humanity. You see, all of humanity has a fallen and sinful nature that can influence anyone to choose evil over good. That includes me. With all the evil caused by humanity, it would seem that we could have all been destroyed to stop us from the destruction within our hearts. But God chose to give us mercy instead, sending His Son, Jesus Christ, to come in the flesh to give the greatest sacrifice as an atonement for all the sin of the world, then to be resurrected. When He ascended back to heaven, He left us with His Holy Spirit to guide those who chose to follow Him. One of the big questions the movie asks is whether humanity deserves to be saved or not. God decided to give us a second chance from condemnation caused by our own destruction. He offers us the gift of grace, which we don't deserve and can't earn, but we can accept it and be transformed. But that doesn't mean we can just go back to our old ways after that, because we need to be transformed by God to do good and follow Him. We won't be perfect, as we will still have times when we mess up, but we need to stay committed to God and focus on the big picture of how His mercy motivates us to continue to seek after Him. You see, there's only one God, and Jesus' sacrifice makes Him to truly be the greatest hero of all time. The gift of grace can be accepted by any of us, so I deeply encourage you to run to Him, accept Jesus' sacrifice on the cross, repent and turn from your old ways, and let God transform you and lead you into the light. This is why I'm here to make these videos. They are for you. Thank you once again for taking the time to hear what I had to say. I encourage you to subscribe to stay notified for more content, and I pray that more can come to Jesus for sanctification. Until then, see you later.